Right, Asana, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, madam.
I'm waiting till any more student would come, right?
There are some more students, madam. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
yeah, let's wait for 1 or 2 minutes and after that we'll start, right?
Okay, madam.
Okay, right. So now we have some more people. So let's start our discussion. Right? Well, now I am going to continue from where I have stopped during my previous session. I started the discussion on morphology area, and morphemes, morph, all these things we discussed actually during the previous session. And this is the next part of that previous lesson, where we are going to talk about processes of word formation, right? So now I have already sent you the lecture material. So hope you have the lecture material with you at the moment, right? So now we are going to talk about the different processes. Now, processes of word formation, what do you understand by that? Word formation process is the creation of a new word, right? Creation of a new word by making changes in existing words or by creating totally new words. So in any language, actually, we can create new words. There are so many processes that are noticed, that we can see, uh, through which new words are being added to the existing vocabulary of the language. So it doesn't happen only in the English language. The processes of word formation are functioning in any language, right? But here we are taking examples from the English language. And don't think that all the time when we talk about processes of word formation, uh, we are talking about adding totally new words. That is there, that happens. Apart from that, sometimes we change the existing words also rather than adding totally new words, right? We make changes to the existing words, and that from in such a way also we can add new words, right? So that is what you have here in this opening line: creation of a new word by making changes in existing words or by creating entirely new words, right? So then we have these 9 different processes of word formation. Coinage, or we call it neologism, borrowing, compounding, blending, clipping, back formation, conversion, acronym, and the last one, derivation, or we can call it affixation. Right? Okay, so are you familiar with these processes? If you have completed HND in SLEA, definitely you must be familiar with most of these things, I hope. But still, even from your knowledge, right, which you have gained from anywhere else, you might know. So what do you think about these 9 processes? Actually, we are going to discuss these 9 processes one by one. But before I start the discussion, I'm asking from you to know whether you have any familiarity. How about these processes? Are you familiar with any of these words? Yes? Knowing it will be useful for me before I start the discussion. Yes? Do you have any sort of kind of familiarity? That's the word I have to use here. Are you familiar with any of these terms which you can see on the screen now? Oh, no idea. Asana, any idea?
Uh, Borrowing like that I have
Hmm.
heard before, madam.
Okay.
Borrowing from other languages, I guess.
Okay.
And compounding means adding two words together.
Yes. Hmm.
I just don't remember all of them, madam.
Okay, okay, no problem. All right. So you know something. And Shani?
Yes, ma'am. Little bit familiar.
A little bit familiar. Okay, right. So we will be discussing anyway, right? All these 9 processes, and there are a lot of examples also. So you can understand them easily, I hope. Right. So already you are familiar with certain things, no? So fine. Now let's start the discussion then with the first one. Right. We call it coinage. Coinage or neologism. Okay, let's see whether I have very short notes. Right, these notes are not lengthy because I want to give you the brief idea regarding what you mean by the particular word formation process. Right, not discussing in very detail. Well, then how do you understand this? Now you know the word coinage. Coinage is the noun form that comes from the base for coin, right? Coin, we coin a word means we add a new word. We invent a new word to the existing vocabulary of any language, right? We coin a word means we create a new word and add it to the vocabulary. So coinage is this incident. And in other words, you have the term neologism to indicate the same incident. The invention of a totally new term, right? This is the basic idea of coinage or neologism, invention of a totally new term, right? It can be totally new word. Well, there are some examples: aspirin, sandwich, Hoover, Xerox, nylon, Google, right? All these words. Some of these words are actually coming from most of these words, right? Coming from the name of the person who has invented actually, who is responsible behind the invention of that particular concept. That means maybe particular object or concept, the one who has founded this. So that particular object or concept has been named after the person who has founded it. That is how these objects or concepts have received their names. Okay, now you know this Hoover machine. You must be familiar with the word Hoover machine, but many people do not use it. That's a kind of like vacuum cleaner. And originally, earlier, people were using Hoover machine instead of vacuum cleaner machine or something. Because Hoover is the name of the person who got the patent rights for that product. So from that, uh, uh, after his name, the machine has been named as Hoover machine. Nowadays, of course, we do not use it a lot, but maybe there are still some countries where we can find the word, right? Hoover. And similarly, Xerox machine, that's photocopy machine. And this nylon, Google, sandwich, aspirin, all are like that. Okay? Right. So that is what you mean by coinage. Understand or be clear with the word, this particular word formation process. So here we are not doing modifications to any existing one, right? We are just adding totally new word to the existing vocabulary. And the second one, borrowing, as you all know, we borrow words from other languages to the language we are talking about. Now here we are talking about the English language. So you have examples of borrowings to the English language. Okay, now what do you mean by borrowing? Borrowing, the word that is borrowed is called a borrower. Or now there are so many terms, right? We can use the term borrowing or loan word or borrowed word. Any of these terms are fine to indicate this incident, especially the word that we have borrowed from another language. Right? And this is called lexical borrowing as well. You know, lexical means words. Accordingly, we can usually we borrow words rather than whole sentences. So sometimes borrowing can take place at the phrase level also, but mostly at the word level. And that is why we call it lexical borrowing. Okay, and this is the most common source of new words in all languages, especially talking about the English language. Because there are so many borrowed words, which we can see in English. Right. And borrowing is the process by which a word from one language is adapted for use in another language. Now, normally, what do you think is happening when a word is borrowed from another language to our language? Here, our language means the language which we are talking about. Okay. We borrow a word from another language to our language. And do you think we use the word as it is after the borrowing? Mostly, right, this borrowed item, borrowed word undergoes so many changes. It mostly undergoes pronunciation changes and sometimes spelling changes. So once a word is borrowed from another language to English language, let's say the English language, right? It belongs to the English language. After the borrowing, it becomes one of the English words. And for it to become one of the English words, it is adapted. We call adapted, right? It changes. So after the borrowing, usually the borrowed word doesn't show the features of its source language, original language, because of these adaptations. Adaptations can happen, as I told you, in pronunciation or in spelling, which means graphemes, right? At the meaning level, there can be certain changes, but mostly not the meaning. The adaptations are happening in relation to pronunciation and spellings. And still there are some words that are remaining in the original form of the source language. Okay? That thing is also there. That's why I told you mostly all of these adaptations take place. Right, you have some examples here for borrowings, but actually these are very few examples because I have given only one example from one language, from Dutch dog, from French present, from Bantu language zebra, Persian lilac, from German pretzel, and from Turkish we have got yogurt, from Italian piano, from Arabic sofa, from Tahitian tattoo, from Japanese tycoon. Okay, but now just think from Dutch, there are so many borrowings. From French, there are so many borrowings. So therefore, just increase your the knowledge in the sense, increase the number of words you know on borrowings. Here I have only given single word from each source language, but try to find some more examples of borrowings from several source languages. Some main source languages like French, German, Italian, Arabic, Japanese. Okay, you hope, I think, because when you give the, when you just type borrowings from other languages to the English language like that in Google, you will get so many, you will get long list. Actually speaking, I don't want you all to learn all these things by heart, but try to keep some easy examples in your mind. Okay, just in case you might have to write something in your evaluations. Right, okay, understand. I think I hope you know about the incident. Right? What do you mean by borrowing? And examples should be there in your mind. And the next one, compounding. And Asana told you know something about compounding. Yeah, you are right. Okay, compounding is a type of word formation where we join two words side by side to create a new word. Okay, now there are two words and these two words are already there in the vocabulary. These two words are existing in the present or current vocabulary of the language. Then what do? We take these existing two words, combine them and start using that combination as a new word. That is what you mean by compounding. Okay. And there are so many ways where we write a compound. When we talk about pronunciation, of course, there's no issue. But in the written part, there are several different ways of writing a compound word. Sometimes we use hyphen. Okay, between the two words. We connect the two words with a hyphen. Sometimes we do not use a hyphen, we just leave a space in between the two words. And some other times, we do not leave a space, no space actually, right? Both words are written at a stretch. So these are the three common ways where compound words are written. When it comes to talk about the spoken aspect, of course, there's no issue there, right? So you have some examples. Actually, I have not given examples. I have given two words separately, along with their grammatical categories. Grammatical categories means the word classes like noun, noun, compound. Because when you talk about compounding, there are so many types, right? We have compound nouns, compound verbs, compound adjectives, usually, right? These are the main three categories of compound words. And in these examples, you have all these categories, I think, right? Yes. We have compound prepositions. The last one, look at the last one, preposition, preposition compound, which means the compound word is a preposition. Okay, so I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes. Now, as you also have the note, if you have the hard copy, much better, you can write down the compound word. If you do not have a hard copy or anything, just take a paper and write down the compound words. You just combine these two words I have given, right? And think whether you are going to combine these two words by a hyphen or by a space, or you just write both together at a stretch. Okay, keeping that in the mind, no need of checking in dictionaries or anything, right? Just write them. I'll give you 2-3 minutes for that. Finish? Are you working on this?
Yes, madam.
Finish?
Yes, finished, madam.
Okay, other two? Well, okay, right. So it is easy actually, okay? The first one, notebook, then blueberry, workroom, breastfeed, stir fry, highlight, breakup, outrun, bittersweet, into. These are the compound words, but see how you have written them, okay? You can find the words here. I have written them. We use a hyphen in stir fry. And that is the only example, I think, where we use a hyphenated compounding. And the other examples, we write actually both words together at a stretch without any space in the middle. Notebook, blueberry, workroom, breastfeed, highlight, outrun, bittersweet, into all are together, right? Okay. So when you think about the compound word, it's very much important for you to analyze it, right? Analyze means which word classes, to which word classes these parts of the compound word belong to, right? So first one, notebook, it's a noun-noun combination. It's a noun-noun compound. And second one, blueberry. Right. So how do you know? Okay, now just think about the first one. First example, notebook. Note is a noun, book is a noun. And what is notebook? What is the word class of notebook?
It is a noun, madam.
It is a noun. So how did you know that it is a noun? By usage? Because you know the word, you know it is a noun. Is that so? Or did you have any kind of rule? Did you use any rule to identify or to tell that this is a noun? Something like that. Any idea? Many people,
No,
yes?
with the usage, madam.
Yeah, usage. Yeah, I know, right? Notebook is a noun, so it's no issue. We know that's a noun. And right. Then the second one, blueberry. It is also a noun, right? It's also a noun. Third one, workroom. It's again, it's a noun. And breastfeed. How do you think about the word class of breastfeed? It has noun verb combination. Breast is a noun and feed is a verb.
It's a
What is
verb, madam.
it is a verb, right? And stir fry, again, it's
Noun.
not a noun.
Sorry,
Not,
it's a verb.
it's a verb. Okay, it's a verb. And highlight. Highlight, high and light. Okay. What is the word class of the compound word? This adjective verb combination. Highlight. I want to highlight the note. Something like that we can say. Okay. Please highlight the important point like that, which means it is a verb.
Verb.
Outrun, you have preposition and verb combination. There, outrun. There, what is the word class? It is also a verb.
Verb,
Right?
madam.
Yes. And then you have another example, two adjectives, bitter, sweet. It's a kind of paradoxical word, right? Bitter, sweet, both are adjectives. What is the word class of the whole word? Bittersweet experience, we can say.
Adjective, madam.
Adjective, right. That is an adjective. And the last one, into, in is a preposition, to is another preposition. So we have combined the two prepositions together, forming the whole word to be a preposition.
Preposition.
Into is a preposition. Okay, right. So then now only here you have very few examples for compound words. But when you happen to meet a compound word, right? How do you know the word class of it? Before I go to the next word formation process, I wanted to share this idea with you, right? How do you know the word class? Now, okay, usually you know the word class by the usage. By the usage, because you know the language, you know the word, so you know automatically the word class. But grammatically, how do you know the word class of a compound word? There's a tip there, right? Now, there are two parts in the compound word. Now, usually, there are two parts. In all these examples, you have the two parts, first word and the second word. The word class of a compound word is decided by the word class of the second part. Now, look at the second word class of the second part of each of these examples. First one, notebook. Second part is a noun. So it's a noun. And blueberry, adjective and noun. Second part is a noun. So it's a noun. Workroom, work is a verb, but room is a noun. Room is a second word. It's a noun. So workroom is a noun. So you can look at the other compound words accordingly, right? So the second part of the word class of the second part of the compound word is the word class of the whole compound word. Okay, right. Well, then I will go to the next one, that is blending. Another interesting word formation process. Blending. Okay. Now, what is happening here? You know, usually blend means mixing, right? Blending means mixing. But how do we blend here? This is the combination of two separate words to form a single new word. Okay. Now, this is similar to compounding. In compounding also, we connect or we join two separate words together and form a new word. In blending also, we combine two separate words to form a new word, single new word. But there's a difference. There's a difference between blending and compounding. In compounding, what do? We combine two words, two separate words. But in blending, we do not consider the whole word to blend with the other part. Okay, now there are two words. We take one part of one word and connect it to a part of the other word. In blending, we do not use both words in complete sense. We do not use both words in complete sense, but name or derived word has part of both words. That is the difference between blending and compounding. You have this example. I think you can understand it very clearly. Smoke and fog. We have now smoke and fog are two separate words in English. So then we blend these two words and we form smog. Now you can see smog is created by taking the first part of the first word and latter part of the second word. Combining these two, smog. Okay, I hope blending is clear to you. So we have several different examples of blending. Now here also you have another writing work. I have given the two words, but you can't simply combine these two words, right? You need to identify how to blend these two words to create the new word. Okay. Right. Now, there may be examples you already know, you are familiar with. So, you can try them. Here also, I'll give you a few minutes for you to write down. There are common blends here. We'll see, right? You write it. Okay. Any idea about the first one? Smoke and mug.
Smoke.
Smoke.
Smirk, madam.
Ah. Smoke and hiss. Be careful.
Sneeze.
Be careful. You might create new words to the English vocabulary with this word. Okay, right? And hotel and motel, I think that is very common. Hotel.
It's
Motel,
motel,
madam.
ma'am.
And breakfast and lunch.
Brunch.
Brunch.
Yeah, I just guess that you know this very well. Mostly students, they do this, right? And information and entertainment.
Infotainment.
Infotainment.
You need to know which parts we are going to select to connect, right? And French and English. What about that? French and English.
English.
And Spanish and English? What about Sinhala and English?
It's Singlish, ma'am.
Then Spanish and English?
Spanglish.
Spanglish. See the words. I have given the blends at the beginning, right? At the end in these examples, and in these examples, in these lines at the beginning. Hope you can find infotainment, Franglish, French and English, and Spanglish, Spanish, English. So with all these examples, I hope you could understand what's happening in blending, right? We are taking some parts only, but the thing is, there can be a risk of creating words that are not even available in the language at the moment. So therefore, your familiarity and usage matter a lot in writing examples for blending, or else you just keep some words in your mind. Remember some words. Okay. For example, like the first one, smirk. Smirk, there we blend the first part of the first word and latter part of the second word. And in smace, there are also first part of the first word and the latter part of the second word. Mostly that is the trend, but there are situations where otherwise can happen, right? Means the latter part and the latter part of the first word and first part of the second word can also be merged or blended. So therefore, knowing the word or being familiar from usage is the only way you can remember a lot of blended words. Okay, otherwise don't think about taking any two words and taking parts from these two words and creating a new blend word. You can't do it. No one can do it, right? Because we are not in a position to create new words. It's a long process that takes a long time. Well, so be familiar with some examples like this. And then we have another one, clipping. Right, clipping. The simple idea of the word clipping is cutting, right? Shortening. Let's give me a second. Sorry for the interruption. Right, so clipping, it occurs when the original word is reduced to one of its parts. Original word is reduced to one of its parts means when we cut off some parts of the original word. So then after we cut means after we remove a part of the original word, the other part is remaining. That remaining part is started to be used as the new word. This is also referred to as truncation or shortening because we cut some parts and remove. So in clipping, the word is shortened, but the meaning remains the same, right? And you need to know that by clipping, of course, we do not change the meaning. The meaning of the original word is the meaning of the newly created word also. Only the form becomes different. The meaning doesn't change. Right. So there are some examples here. Examples means I have given the original words. Right? Original words are there. So you need to guess the new word which we have created by cutting these original words. So clipping these original words. Some words we use, actually the words like advertisement, we use the long forms. But rather than that, the short forms are used very common. Especially think about the second word, right? Second word, you definitely know the clipped word, not fascinating. That's the original word, right? Okay, just write down the clipped words here also. What about popular music?
Pop.
Yes. Instead of popular, we use pop, right? Pop music, pop culture, like that. Right. And the second,
Facts.
that's the word, right? Facts. And the third one, of course, now other words, I think they are very familiar to you. Gymnasium. Instead of gymnasium, we use the word gym. And memo for memorandum, ad for advertisement, demo for demonstration. All these are clipped words, right? And there are so many other words which I do not expect. Okay, let's see. Yeah. But the thing is, if I tell a little bit more about clipping, this clipping can take place in different ways. Sometimes we clip the back part of the word, right? Now, if the word is like this, we clip the back part and we keep the front part. Okay? Example, this popular. This one. So gymnasium, memorandum, advertisement, demonstration, all these are examples for back clipping, right? We remove the back part. That is called back clipping. And there are other words where we remove the front part and keep the back part. We keep the back part by removing the front part. And these examples are not very, we don't have a lot of examples anyway, but you can find the words like varsity. Okay, varsity, I don't know whether you are familiar with that word. Varsity is coming from university. And some novel writers, some fiction writers in Sinhala, okay, if you have read books, you might remember, they use the word varsity even in Sinhala language. Varsity instead of the word Vishwavidyalaya in Sinhala, right? Instead of the word Vishwavidyalaya, university. The first part is clipped, the remove, and the latter part is started to be used as a new word. Another example is from copter, from helicopter, and roach. Roach is another new word. Can you guess the original word? What is the original word of roach? Can guess? Ladies are fighting usually. They don't like that. It's animal.
Is it cockroach?
Yes, yes, yes. Cockroach. So instead of cockroach, roach. Like that, the front part is clipped. Okay. And there's another category of clipping which we call middle clipping. Right? Middle clipping. But there, we do not clip the middle part. We clip the front part as well as the back part. And we keep the middle part. We keep the middle part. We call it middle clipping. Examples, there are very common examples. Now, what do you think about the fridge you use? We have fridge in our houses, no? Right? Fridge is the short form of refrigerator. And we clip the front part as well as the back part. And the fridge is only the middle part. Somewhere in the middle you find in the word. And we use it as a new word, fridge. Refrigerator, from that fridge. And also, a word like this, I have got flu these days. I'm not well, I have got flu. What do you mean by flu? What is the long word? I mean the original word of flu.
Influenza.
Influenza. Right? So there also we clip the front part as well as the back part. And flu is there only in the middle. So we take it as the new word. Right? So there are some words like that. So clipping can happen at the back, at the front, both at the front and the back. Okay, so you can know some examples for all these three categories. Okay, right. Well, then we will go to the next next category, the next process, word formation process, that is called back formation. Right. Back formation, you need to understand this bit more carefully. Okay. Now, what is happening here? This is the word formation process where a new word is derived by removing what appears to be an affix. Removing an affix, but we do not want to call it an affix. Removing a part of the word that looks like an affix. It can be an affix as well, no issue. Okay, so we remove. Now, in the original word, we can have a part like an affix, so we remove it, and the rest, the remaining part is started to be used as a new word. That is called back formation. There are some examples. some of these words may be familiar to you. You must be using them, but surely you must be using the new word which we create by applying back formation to these original words. I have given the original words here. Administrate. And what type of a word can we create by removing the affix? Cohabitat, delimitate, interpretate, orientate, registrate, remediate, revolute, solicitate. These are the original words. And now, rather than these original words, we use the new words. Okay, right? Try now. Try how to apply this back formation process to these words and write the words. Okay. In this case, you have to think a little bit and identify the new word. Okay, I'll give you 2-3 minutes again. Excuse me. Okay, you found the words? Yes. Would you like to share? Asana, what's happening? And Shani and Jayasuriya. Yes. Have you
Yes,
written
ma'am.
some words? Hmm? Hmm? Or still writing?
Finish, ma'am.
Finished. What about the first one then? Okay, you go on
Administration.
administration. Okay. Oh. Go on telling. Others also can add, right? Second one. Yes. Not sure. What's the problem? Okay. I will.
Cohabitation.
Yes, Shani. Okay.
Cohabitation, ma'am.
Uh-huh. And could you please read whatever you have written? Is that all? You didn't write the others? Well, okay. Just have a look at this now. Right. See the back formed words. From administrate, we have the word administer. Administrate becomes administer. Now you can see the latter part is removed. And cohabitat, we have cohabit. This latter part is removed. Latter part means something that looks like the suffix here. And delimited, we have delimit. Interpreted, interpret. And orientate, from that we have orient. From registrate, register. Remediate, remedy. And from revolute, we have revolt. Last part is remove. And from solicitate, we have solicit. Last part is remove. Okay. So then we remove the last part means something that looks like the suffix here in all these examples. And start using the first part or remaining part as the new word. And we call this back formation. Okay, now is that clear to you? Some of your words may not be correct, right? So you need to understand very clearly what you mean by back formation process. Is that clear? Can I know whether you have understood it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Right. So a lot of students confuse with back formation. They sometimes confuse this with the clipping. Okay? Clipping. But you need to understand the difference between clipping and back formation. In clipping also, hope you remember we discussed removing one part and start using the remaining part as a new word. Here also you can argue, okay, why this is not clipping? Now we don't call this clipping because here the reason is the part we remove is like an affix. In all these examples, actually, it looks like a suffix, not a prefix, right? The prefix examples are not given here in the list. So the part we remove is a suffix or affix. But we didn't have that thing in the clipping, right? In clipping, we didn't clip the affixes, but in back formation, we remove affixes. And by removing these affixes, no harm happening to the remaining part, and we start using the remaining part as the new word. I think I have some more examples. No, that's all. Right. Next, I have conversion. To give you another example, just have a look at this I will type a word, right. Now this is the original word, okay? The original word. And can you guess the new word? What is the new word we can create out of this word? Babysitting is the original word. Any idea? You can guess. Yes. In this word, you don't have the suffix which you saw in the other examples like ate, not that, okay? But can you apply the back formation process to this word? Any idea? If you have any idea, please talk. Can't understand. Don't think that all the time.
Babysitter.
Sorry, baby.
Sitter, ma'am.
The word is this. Baby sit. Right now, there, what is happening? Babysitting is the original word I told you. Babysitting. There, we remove the suffix. That means this ing. We remove ing. And after we remove ing, what is left? Babysit. And that is taken as the new babysit. Okay. I will give you another example. I will give you the same word, back formation. We are talking about back formation, so I am giving you the same word, back formation. So apply back formation process to the word back formation and tell me which word can we create a new, right? Yes, right? Because you need to identify the suffix looking part. Then remove it.
Back
And
format, right, ma'am?
yes, back form. The word is back form. We remove this last part, suffix looking part, Asian, A-T-I-O-N. So we have back form, and that is the new one, back form. Now is that clear? Because all the time, don't expect suffixes like this. In all these examples, my previous set of examples, you have ate at the end of these words. So we simply remove it and start using the other part as the new word. But not only this suffix, there can be different suffixes. So here there are two words that have different suffixes, suffix looking parts. So we can remove them and start using the rest of the word as well. Okay, right. I think the back formation process is clear to you. So is it all right if I clear these writings? Otherwise, when I go to the next slide, the same writings are there. Shall I erase these writings?
Okay, madam.
Okay. Right. All right. Then let's move on to the next one. Next type of word formation process, that is called conversion. Conversion, and it's called zero derivation as well. Okay, let's talk why it is called zero derivation later. The word is conversion. This is the name of this word formation process. Now see what is happening there. Here, a word of one grammatical form becomes a word of another grammatical form, okay, without any changes to spelling or pronunciation. Not change in the spellings or pronunciation. But what is changing then? The grammatical status or the grammatical form changes. In other words, actually, we change the grammatical category or word class. word class changes. Maybe from noun to verb or a verb to noun. Likewise, the word class changes, but we do not change the pronunciation or even the spellings. You have an example here, the detailed example. The noun email, okay, we can talk about the word email, appeared in English before the verb. Okay, which means the noun form of email is the form that started anew, right? It came first. The noun form came first in English language, which means we started using the word email as a noun first. A decade ago, I would have sent you an email like that in this example. I would have sent you an email, which means email is used as a noun there. Whereas now, I can either send you an email or simply email you. Now, we can use the word email as a verb too. So, can you understand the conversion? Converting the word from noun to verb. Noun to verb conversion. In all these examples, you can find this noun to verb conversion. Bottle, originally we use bottle as a noun, right? It has the noun meaning and we use it as a noun. But now, with the evolution of the language, we have started to use the noun bottle as a verb also to indicate or to convey the action. Right? To convey the action, bottling something, putting some liquid into bottles, that action is indicated or conveyed by the word bottle, two bottles. So I have given the to infinitive, to form, only to indicate that this is the verb form. Okay. So to bottle is the verb. It's the verb. And can is a noun. And to can means putting something into a can. Action involved in can. So like that, we have so many examples of conversion from noun to verb. So you can understand how we convey the meaning as well. Right? We have the similar noun meaning, but it is associated with the action after the conversion. Closet to closet. And email to email, eye to eye, fiddle to fiddle, fool to fool, Google to Google, and host to host. In this second column, right? All these words are converted from noun to verb categories. Okay, right. I think conversion is clear to you. You don't have to write anything. Of course, I have given examples. But there are situations where from verb to noun conversion too can take place. These are examples from noun to verb only. But you can find out, collect some examples for the other way around. See whether there are instances of converting from verb to noun. So you might find. Okay, right. I hope conversion is clear to you. And why do we call it zero derivation? We are going to talk about derivation as one of the word formation processes. Derivation means adding a suffix. Now, root is there, and we add an affix, either prefix or a suffix. So, let's say suffix and create or derive a new word. Derive a new word. This is called derivation. Okay, derivation. It's like beauty plus full, beautiful. So beautiful is the derived word. Beauty root, full suffix. Beautiful is the derived word. Okay, so that is what you call derivation. But we identify conversion as zero derivation because we do not attach any suffix or a prefix. In other words, the derivation process is not there. It's not happening. No attachments. No attaching any affix. The same word, same original word. Only thing is we are changing the grammatical class or word class. Accordingly, how we use this word in a sentence changes. If it is a noun, in a sentence, usually we use nouns in the subject position or in the object position or sometimes in complement position, right? But where do we use a verb in a sentence? Soon after the subject. And that is the starting word of the predicate part of the sentence, right? Immediately after the subject, we use verb. So unlike a noun, we can't use verb everywhere in the subject position or object or complement positions. So which means we only change the grammatical status or the word class of the word only. No other changes done to the form. We do not add any affix and we do not change the spellings. We do not change the pronunciation, nothing. As we do not add any affixes, we call it zero derivation. That is why the term, right? Zero derivation. But good if you know this by conversion. You can understand it as conversion. Okay, right. Keep in your mind as conversion. Next, we have acronym. Acronym as another word formation process. So you need to know what is happening, and this is very common. Because when you use the English language, definitely use acronyms a lot. What is happening here? Word formed from initials or other parts of several words. They are called acronyms. Words formed from initials or other parts of several words together. Several words here means long phrase. Okay, you just consider a phrase containing 2 or 3 or even 4 words, right? A long phrase containing several words there. So what do we do is that we select the first letter of each word, right? We select the first letter of each word, arrange these first letters together to form a new word, right? And this word we start using as an acronym. Sometimes not only the initial letter, part of the word as well we can take. That also happens in forming acronyms. You have NATO as an example. See, NATO. NATO is coming from North Atlantic Treaty Organization. You can see NATO. First letters are taken, and luckily there are vowel sounds, and that is why we can easily and smoothly create a new word, NATO, like that. Okay, so like that, you have so many other acronyms. So in this case, I have given you the examples for acronyms. You need to write down the long phrase, okay, based on which we have created these acronyms. The words are ASAP, Evolve, Laser, NASA, NASDAQ, PIN, Radar, SCUBA, TESOL, WASP. When you talk about pronouncing acronyms, remember, we pronounce all these letters together as one word. Okay? Like ASAP, Evolve, Laser. We pronounce all these words, sorry, all these sounds together as a one word. Okay, right. So you have another small work now to fill in these blanks. You need to fill in these blanks. You can refer to sites, okay, no problem. Because I want you to this as a practice activity. Find out the long phrases and complete your note. We'll give you a few minutes for that. Do this now. Okay. Did you write some? Time must not be enough, I think, for you to write all. But at least some of the words, if you wrote, that could be enough. Okay, would you like to share with us the long phrases of these words? ASAP is very common. Okay, that's very common. Usually we use it. What is that?
As soon as possible.
Yes. And the second one, the verb.
Absent without leave.
Sorry, at.
Absent without leave, ma'am.
Absent without
Absent without official leave, madam.
noun. Okay, right, Percy. And laser, did you manage to find the word? Because that is not normally commonly used, the longer phrase. Usually we use laser. But there are, I mean, we don't have to use the word laser very often. I don't know whether you are, I mean, you remember the long term, right? But still you can Google and find it. And I'm going to show you all the words, right? NASA, NASDAQ. What about pin? Pin is common. Pin, you don't have to search it.
Personal identification number, madam.
Personal identification number, and some people are used to say pin number. There's a problem there, right? Number is there. And nowadays we have another term, another similar term, TIN. What is TIN? TIN?
Tax identification.
Identification number. And you have radar, scuba, and TESO. How about TESO? What is that? Teaching, English, the rest. No idea. TESO. Didn't you write that? And there are several different terms like this. TESOL,
Teaching
TESOL,
English to speakers of other language.
speakers of other languages, correct. Okay, right now these are the phrases. Absent without officially, right? There has to be, oh, official has to, right? And the other words, of course, you can find from internet, but here I have given all the long forms. So remember acronyms also as one important word formation process, right? So once you get the recording, I think you can pause and take down these phrases. And I will continue to derivation. Okay, derivation, or we call it affixation as well. Right. Okay, then what do you understand by this? So now earlier I was explaining what derivation is. I told you what is derivation. Derivation, how do you get that? It is the creation of words. Okay, that means creating new words by modification of a root. Modification of a root without the addition of other roots. Without the addition of other root means, in other words, actually, what do you mean by that? Without combining two or more than two root words together. Still, in other words, compounding. Okay, so here in derivation, we never talk about compounding. That means adding several roots together, combining several roots together. No, we are not talking about that part. In derivation, we talk about modifying the given root. How can we modify a root? There are two ways. Actually, there are three ways, right? Either we can add a prefix, or we can add a suffix, or we can add both together to the same root. That is the third way. You have an example, clear, and we can add the prefix un and make it unclear. So unclear is the new word. the derived word. We call it derived word. Okay. And we can add able, the suffix able to the root wash. And then wash becomes washable. You can see the meanings also change here, right? The meanings also change. By means of the addition of either prefix or the suffix, we change the meaning of the root word, not only the meaning of the root word. Sometimes we might change the word class of the root word as well. Okay, the word class of the root word can change, or we remain in the same word class, or the meaning of the root word can change. So in these two examples, you can find the meaning changes, but the word class doesn't. What about the word class? Clear, unclear? Do you find any word class change? The meaning change is clear, no? From positive meaning to negative meaning once you add un, right? It has a negative meaning. What about the word class? Do you find any word class change?
No, madam.
Clear is an adjective and unclear is also an adjective there. But in the second example, wash and washable, you can find the meaning change because wash is the action of washing. And washable means having the ability to wash. We can talk about any piece of material, okay, or linen or whatever thing, and you can say, okay, this is washable. That means you can wash it. There is the potential, possibility of washing it. That's the meaning, not the exact action of washing. The idea that there is the possibility of doing the action. That's the meaning change. Apart from the meaning change, you can find the grammatical word class change as well. Right? Wash is the verb and washable is adjective. That is adjective. So remember, in the process of derivation, these three things can happen. Either we change the meaning or we change the word class together with the meaning change, or we change the meaning but remain in the same word. So these possibilities are there when we make modifications to a word. Right? And the other thing, remember, in the process of derivation, we can talk about the addition of both prefixes and suffixes as derivational morphemes. Right? Okay, and that is called affixation too because of that. Affixes are the common word for both prefixes and suffixes. So affixation includes prefixation and suffixation. In that sense, affixation can be used instead of derivation, roughly. Right. Okay, well, that is the end of our discussion on word formation processes. Actually, to save time, I have not given you any examples. Exercises. Okay. Exercises are not there because I wanted to quickly discuss these areas because I have an intention to move on to the next lesson. It doesn't take a long time anyway. But before that, let me show you some facts about idioms as well, because idioms are there in your syllabus. So as one small subtopic. So I thought of adding something on idioms, and in your lecture material, you have an exercise. At the end of the note, you might find an exercise on idioms. You can try it anyway. But I'm not going to do the exercise during the lecture time. Just be familiar with idioms. Yeah. The idioms, are you using idioms when you talk in English? Are you? What about your preferences? Are you interested in using idioms? What about that? No, I mean, not interested. Is that so? Idioms are quite interesting type of expressions. Okay, idioms are expressions or phrases in a language that have a figurative meaning. right? Figurative meaning different from the literal meaning of the individual words. Literal meaning, in the sense, it refers to the word meaning, the denotative or superficial meaning. But this figurative meaning is something which is implied. It is not the literal or the superficial meaning or the word meaning. So idioms are formed with the figurative meaning of the words, not with the literal meanings. Right? And these phrases often convey a cultural or contextual meaning that may not be immediately apparent to non-native speakers or those who are unfamiliar with the idiomatic usage, especially talking about these non-native speakers. And that is why we, as the non-native speakers of the English language, have to study idioms in the English language. When it comes to talk about the idioms of our mother languages, we don't have to learn them now, because we acquire our mother tongue from our infancy along with the idioms, prosodic features and everything, not only the vocabulary, right? We acquire everything of our mother tongue. Idioms are also there. But talking about second language learning, we have not acquired 100% of the things in second language. We have to learn them, including idioms. Even because of that factor, a non-native English speaker might not quickly catch the meaning of an English idiom. Even if he is a native speaker, if he is not very much familiar with the idioms of the language or idiomatic usage, he might find it he might take some more time to understand. Sometimes that might happen in your mother tongue as well, right? We do not know all the idioms. Now, talking about the Sinhala language, of course, that is all. What about the Sinhala word? Shani, you are there, right? Is it Ingivaki or Rudi?
Rudy, ma'am.
Rudi. All idioms in Sinhala, but even in Tamil language, Asana, I think you might have similar expressions. Do you? In Tamil, expressions?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. Okay, so in every language we find idioms. Right, now here there are some examples from English. Why are we using idioms? To add color, vividness, and nuance to communication, to add multifaceted dimensions. Otherwise, whatever we are telling would be very boring, monotonous, but not very much attractive. So to add color to the language, we use idioms. Okay, you have some examples given here in blue color along with their meanings. Pick the bucket. So these are very common idioms. Definitely you must be familiar, right? You must have heard. Kick the bucket in the sense it means to die, right? Pass away. And break the ice, it means to initiate a conversation or to relieve tension in a social setting. Break the ice. It can be used with both meanings. And cost an arm and a leg means very expensive. And hit the nail on the head. Describe exactly what is causing a situation or problem. Hit the nail on the head. So likewise, you can find out the common feature of idioms is that they never mean anything of the superficial meaning of the words. Nothing. So if you are not familiar with the implied meaning of any idiom, better not to use it if you are not familiar with the meaning. Okay. So those who are using idioms, they are supposed to know their meanings. Right. Okay, so that's about idioms. I hope you would improve your list of idioms, your personal list of idioms, the idioms which you use in your everyday use of the language. I'm talking about the English language. Okay, all right. All right, then that's the end of this discussion. And actually, yeah, I will stop sharing my screen. I have another small lesson actually. Small in the sense, you already know, but I just want to give you the note as well as give you a very briefing about that, right? Okay, first of all, let me send it to you. The note I am sending in the chat box right now. Okay, that is grammatical categories. Could you please check whether you are sending still? Yeah, whether you have received it now. That is a note on grammatical categories. I sent it in the chat. You found it. Hmm. Did you receive that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Actually, there is nothing much, but in order to complete our discussion, I thought of taking few minutes for that discussion. Okay. Right. Now, this is about grammatical categories. And grammatical categories, what do you mean by this word? Grammatical category is a linguistic category. Linguistic category which has the effect of modifying the forms of some class of words in a language. Right? Okay, now that is bit lengthy sentence. You need to clearly understand what it means. Grammatical category, or else we can use the word linguistic category to give the idea that this sort of grammatical or linguistic category can change or modify the form of some word class items. Form, right? Only the form undergoes changes. Nothing happens to the meaning. So, which means we do not change the meaning. Only the form of some words undergo changes by applying these grammatical categories. So, by putting them into these grammatical categories. That's the idea. So what are these grammatical categories that can change the form of words? What are these grammatical categories? You have them here. There are 4 categories given. Category of tense, category of voice, category of aspect, and category of mood. Now, when you are learning or discussing the basics of English grammar, definitely you must have discussed these 4 grammatical categories. Am I correct? Because you can't say you have not learned English grammar. It is there at the school level, right? English grammar, you can learn grammar in the English language at the school level itself. So definitely then, you must be familiar with these grammatical categories, the 4 categories: tense, aspect, voice, and head. Yes, am I correct? In the sense, are you familiar with these 4 grammatical categories? What do you mean by tense? What do you mean by aspect? And what is the meaning of mood and voice and all these things? Yes or no? No idea? Or what? Why are you silent when we talk about grammar?
We know the tense and voice, madam, but
But what is the problem? That is what we mean here, right? tense, of course, the thing is, when you are learning about these areas earlier, definitely you must have learned separately, right? Tenses in English. So there you must have taught 12 tenses and 4 aspects. 12 tenses means actually 3 tenses are there and 4 aspects. 3 into 4, we have 12. And that is talking about the active voice. And talking about passive voice, we have eight categories only, 8 parts only, right? And we have mood. So all these things definitely you have learned, but separately with the heading of the lessons like tenses, active and passive voice, like that. But that is the same thing here. We are also referring with the term grammatical category. So you need to basically understand what do you mean by grammatical category. So it's a kind of linguistic category or language category which can change the form of a verb. Okay, which means when we talk about tenses or aspect or voice or mood, we talk about changing the form. Form means a superficial structure of a word or a sentence. Superficial structure. We do not talk about meaning or semantics there because these are called grammatical categories. These are related to syntax. After morphology, you have syntax, right? Actually, we are in the syntax discussion. Syntax, in other words, grammar. So we have syntactic rules in any language, which means we have grammatical rules. And that is where we talk about these grammatical categories. Okay, right. So here in the note, I have separately and also very briefly given you the 4 grammatical categories I have actually introduced. But I don't think I should introduce these things to you. You already know about these things. But know them with the word grammatical category. And especially what do they do? Grammatical categories are changing. They have an effect in changing the form of a word or a sentence only. So we can change the form of a sentence or a verb phrase by putting it in a particular tense or aspect or voice or mood. Right now you have tense here. It's a grammatical category that locates a situation in time. Tense means time. No? So we have 3 tenses, is 3 different time scopes like present tense, past tense, and future tense. Okay, in languages which have tense, it is usually indicated by a verb or a modal verb. By using the verb, especially by using verb, we can show the tense because we have the 5 forms of a verb. We have this base form, singular form, past form, present participle, past participle likewise. So by using the singular form, we can show the present tense. By using the past form, we can show the past tense like that. And even the modal verbs have tenses, can, could, may, might, should, would, like that. And these are connected to aspect, mood, and voice. Okay, right. So I hope you can follow the note by reading it. Now, this is a part talking about aspect. I briefly, what do you mean by, actually, I'm not reading all these lines. You need to read the note. This is given very briefly and in simple manner. So you can read and understand on your own. I will only introduce, right? Aspect means it's a grammatical category that expresses how an action, event, or a state relates to the flow of time. Okay, in other words, aspect gives us an idea regarding the nature of the action, whether the action is happening at the time, at the moment of speaking. Is it an ongoing action, or is it a completed action, or is it perfect? And perfect, we have 4 aspects, simple aspect, continuous aspect, perfect continuous aspect. These 4 aspects are talking about 4 different nature of the actions. 4 different types of actions, right? So you have about perfect and imperfect aspect, the two broad categories. Please refer to the note there. And talking about the mood. So mood means modality. Okay, it shows the speaker's attitude, emotions, or viewpoint, showing the modality is that. Okay. The term is used more broadly to allow for the syntactic expression of modality, that means the use of non-inflectional phrases. So we have 4 types, not 4 actually, several different types of moods, like indicative moods, interrogative, interrogatory, imperative, emphatic, subjunctive, injunctive, and potential. From these different types of moods, usually we use indicative, interrogative, imperative. These are commonest forms of moods. And subjunctive mood is also there, and emphatic mood, injunctive, potential moods are usually not very much used, but they form the other parts of mood, right? The types of mood. Along with these points, you can, of course, if you are not clear by now, okay, what do you mean by imperative mood or indicative mood like that? Interrogative, of course, that is clear question, no? But if you are not familiar with the other types of moods, please Google and get some more information. So these parts go for your self-studies, okay? Because I have given the note very briefly, and now I am briefly introducing only 2. And then you have voice. Voice, we have active voice and passive voice. And you need to know basically what is happening in active voice and what's happening in passive voice. When we want to emphasize the doer of the action, we prefer active voice. But when we want to emphasize the thing or the person that is subjected to the action, that means the recipient of the action, we prefer passive voice, especially in situations where the doer is unimportant or doer is not known, or we are not interested in talking about the doer, then we choose passive voice. So that is about the usage. And talking about the grammatical structure, the verb phrase, you have to know very well the difference between active verb phrase and passive verb phrase. There are huge grammatical differences. Okay, so these are the things you must have definitely learned when you were learning English grammar, either at the school level or maybe after the school level if you followed any course, right? These are the things you have learned. But here with this lesson, I only wanted to introduce the word grammatical categories along with this tense, voice, mood, and voice, tense, aspect, voice, and mood. These are the grammatical categories, right? Otherwise, there's nothing new. The very same thing you already know. But be familiar with the word grammatical categories and what happens with that. Only change in the form of a word or an expression, right? It doesn't have any power to affect the meaning of a word or sentence by applying grammatical categories. All right. Yes. So this is a very short lesson, but you have some sort of, because especially if you have forgotten this voice, especially mood and voice, tense aspect, I hope you are quite okay with them. But if you have forgotten the other grammar areas, you need to refer, right? You need to Google and find some more information. I hope you would do that. And that's the end of the discussion. Okay, right. I think I was at a stretch, I was talking and talking, but hope you have followed me and have got the points clearly. In any case, if you have any problem, right? Okay, now this is the last session. Actually, at the very beginning, I was informed that there would be 10 different sessions, but halfway through the lectures I go to know only 8 sessions are allocated. So therefore, that's why I had to discuss these things fast and shorten some areas. But still, I hope you are clear with what I have discussed. But still, if you find anything doubtful or any problem, I have given my contact numbers in the lecture materials, right? So you can contact me using the lecture materials if you have any doubt. If you will have any doubt in future too. Okay, right then as the time is also passing, I'm going to wind up, but before that, do you have any question or anything?
No,
No,
madam.
ma'am.
Okay, right then. Well, so then I will stop the work. Good night, all of you, and good night. Good luck, all of you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, madam. Good night.